Happy Hump Day. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. We are just fresh back from Fifth Third Arena. We're going to hear from Conor Bedard. We're going to hear from Luke Richardson. We're going to talk about practice today. We're going to go around the league, talk about Frozen Frenzy. We're going to look at the Four Nations jerseys. We got a busy show for you, even though there's not a ton going on until tomorrow and Friday, Hawks-wise. But do us a favor and smash that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. Podcast listeners, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that fun stuff. And we want to remind you about our ongoing promotion right now with our DieHard memberships. Jump in now. $4 a month.
Yeah.
That's $48 for the year. Free shirt, access to all the written content, access to all of our events, 20% off all of our merch and events and takeovers and all that jazz. Everything you get with a DieHard membership for $48 for the entire year. It's a limited time, so take advantage of it.
Yep.
But man, what an awesome deal. Go to allchgo.com, navigate over to that DieHard tab, and act now. Come and join our nice little Chicago sports community here at CHGO. allchgo.com/intro is a direct link to become a diehard at that discounted rate. Great deal. I'm glad we're doing it, and tons of people taking advantage of it.
Yeah, that's great to see. We launched that was that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, and it's been going really well. Love to see that, and yeah, join a growing CHGO sports community. Best around and easy to find.
Yes, sir. Very easy to find. Available worldwide, nationwide, galaxy-wide. No antenna needed. Just some sort of internet connection.
Some sort of internet, or at least just 5G.
Yeah. That's internet, right? That counts.
I think so.
Sure.
It's a network.
I got that when I got the COVID vaccine. Boom. Right into my shoulder.
Yeah.
5G, baby.
Perfect.
Radioactive.
I'm wired up. Ready to go.
Yep. All right, so the Hawks returned to practice today, and I wasn't really sure, fellas, like what to expect in terms of the vibes on the ice. I was maybe a little bit expecting some anger and some frustration. What we saw was a very intense practice, a high-intensity practice, but overall the spirits seemed pretty good. I heard guys laughing, guys making fun of each other. There was one breakout drill, and this is, people are going to freak out about this, but please don't, where Conor Bedard and Teuvo Teravainen like just couldn't get it right. Like 3 times in a row, and they finally got it, and they all got the Bronx cheer from Derek King and all the other players. So it was loose. You could hear Tyler Bertuzzi yelling, as he always kind of does during practice. So I think that's good that the team didn't look completely defeated and out of it after that loss last night. I was actually a little bit encouraged that it wasn't just complete misery through practice today.
Yeah, it was a looser room than I expected, but we're only 7 games into the season. You know, that last night was the first real clunker of the season. Like, it's not like last year when it was January and February and every night was like that. That wears on everybody from, you know, the coach to the top line center to the podcaster in the room. Like it. So it's still early in the season. It was loose. There was some fun Pop Rocks discussion in the locker room. Some Halloween candy. Learn that here's a fun fact for you. Some people put Pop Rocks on their ice cream.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
It's must be a European thing. But so yes, it was a looser. It was, as you said, intense. But I think a lot of the guys, and you're going to probably have that more with a veteran team than you do with a younger team. Guys were able to just shake it off. Like, okay, it's over. We got to get back to work. Like, we can't get better if we're just going to show up to practice and pout about last night. We've got to focus on getting better for Friday.
Well, we're going to hear from Conor Bedard here in a minute, and he does sort of talk about like shaking off a bad game. But just for those that have never attended a Hawks practice before, I know a lot of people haven't. So today, things basically started with, you'd have two groups of defensemen and the forwards to kind of go back and forth working on breakouts. And then for like the last half of practice, the entire team lines up inside the blue line, maybe 3 or 4 feet inside the blue line, and then 3 forwards and 2 defensemen. Just they have a battle shift with that very limited space, high intensity, 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, and a goalie, and they just try to win the shift. It's very intense. It's very fast paced. It's physical because everything is very condensed because you're taking basically the offensive zone and cutting off 5 to 7 feet of it at the blue line, and it just makes everything tighter and faster and everything. And I think it's just they're working on that compete. They're working on that intensity. And I think they enjoy that. It really seems like when they have those kinds of practices, the guys are a little more fired up. They're a little more into it. They seem a little more engaged.
Yeah, I mean, when you get guys like that in that competitive zone, that can get that moving. And yeah, I mean, it's good to see them come off of a game like that and be able to get right back to it and get right back to work. And that's something that Luke Richardson has been talking about a lot for this team is winning, those one-on-one battles, whether it's board battles, stick battles, playing around the net. Like that's a big focus that he's had with this team. And it's something that if you win those little things, then the big things will, start to go in your favor. And this team is one that needs to focus on winning those little individual battles and making sure that the small details of their game are fine-tuned so that those bigger things can come with it. And I think with last night's game, I think that was something that they got away from. So it was good to see that, that was a refocus starting with today's practice, and I'd imagine a little bit more of the same tomorrow.
Why don't we give it a listen to Conor Bedard right now, who did his damnedest to wait us out. He was out there a long time.
Conor, we got nowhere else to go. So
we got no place else to go.
You shoot for as long as you want.
Lana Del Rey Tacos isn't closing for some time, my young man.
Yeah.
Maybe if you scored more in the last 21 games, we wouldn't be waiting
right
around and ask you why you're a bust.
All right, let's hear from Conor Bedard, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Conor, you've been generating a ton of scoring chances, and the puck just hasn't gone in. You get frustrated with that, or you just realize there's ebbs and flows to that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I want to score. I want to, produce. So it's frustrating, but like you said, creating a lot, and I think if I wasn't creating chances, or our team wasn't creating chances, and that's kind of when you worry a little more.
Is there anything that you're doing differently this year so far that you've noticed about your own game?
I don't know. I just feel good. I feel like the game has felt a little easier maybe. Just having that year, kind of know what to expect, and I felt like I had a good summer and stuff. So I feel good. Just like you said, it's kind of bearing down or whatever.
Do you have a better understanding of that offside review, or is it still kind of confusing?
I didn't know, when we saw it, I didn't know kind of how it worked at all, really, which I probably should. But to be completely honest, I don't really know. But I know there is some ruling or whatever, and obviously that one was onside.
That chance, it looked like you were frustrated that you couldn't get one to go in, and then set up Nick for a good chance, and Lincoln made a good save on that too last night. It just seemed like I guess one of those things where just can't get one to go in, can't get production out of a number of good plays.
Yeah, I mean, really good goalies in the league, obviously. He made some great stops last night. I thought we had a good amount of chances, but yeah, it's frustrating when it's not going in, but there's nights like that for sure.
But being such a highly skilled player like yourself, is it hard when the team just kind of needs to simplify things to not try and do too much and maybe just play a little bit more straightforward game? Is that hard for you because you can do so much with the puck?
No, I'm still doing a lot with the puck. I think when I don't have a play, I'm gonna make the simple play, get it in or whatever. But if I got a chance to make a play, I'm gonna try to make a play. That's why I'm here. So I think as a group we have our identity, and I'm not saying I'm strayed away from that. But I think any of us, if we have a play, we're going to make it. But I think the biggest thing is when there's nothing there, that's when we really simplify. And I'm no different than anyone in that sense.
When you have a frustrating result like last night, how long does it take you to take a step back and just kind of get that out of your system?
I'm something I've been working on a lot kind of every year, trying to get a little better at maybe flushing things. But probably the night I'm not too happy for the rest of the night or whatever, and then kind of in the morning you try to forget about it and come to the rink. You don't want to be kind of bringing anyone else's energy down with your frustration. And everyone's upset we didn't have a great game last night, so we just got to move on.
You've been a positive player, I believe, at 5-on-5 this year. How much more cognizant are you of the defense? It seemed like last year they just wanted you to kind of go nuts offensively. How much more cognizant are you when you're the work you're on in now? I
think I was cheating maybe a little too much last year for offense, but I think it's just a balance. It's such a mentality I find for myself, and I always want to have the puck. I always want to be in the offensive zone, but half the game's played in your own end. So just being responsible, and I feel like when you are better in your own end, you get the puck back, and you go in their end. So then that's when it's fun to play.
There's Conor Bedard. Thanks to the Blackhawks for use of their video. I couldn't get an angle today. I was behind people, and my cord was all stuck.
Sounds just like Conor Bedard. Can't get that right angle.
I just couldn't. I was trying. I kept trying to manipulate the angle, and it just wasn't working.
Just gave up.
I don't know what level of sincerity there is behind some of these comments of concern with Conor Bedard. And he's got 2 goals in his last 20 games, and that's not great. But he's also generating chances at almost double the clip of anybody else on a team. Last night, in one of his not best games by any means, had 8 shot attempts, including 6 shots on goal. You're going to hear from Luke Richardson in a little bit, and just pay attention to what Luke says about Bedard, especially on the power play, where he's a guy that demands so much coverage that just by being on the ice, he's making the team better because 2 guys are going to go to him. He's going to attract attention. He compares him to Alex Ovechkin in that way. The goals are going to come. They're going to go in for him. It's going to come in, watch, like in a week or 2, he'll have like 5 goals in 3 games or something like that.
How about Friday night he has 5 goals?
That would be great. And it's all gonna even out for him. When you worry is when the chances aren't happening.
Yeah, he's shooting 4% right now.
Yes.
That's not sustainable.
Yes. The takes this morning and last night all across hockey world are borderline silly at times. Some of it is spot on. It does seem that he just has this tendency now to go to the center of the ice and try and do his little angle manipulation thing and get a shot off. But he is shooting. Like the first comment I got this morning was, I just want him to shoot more. And then I said, he had 6 shots on goal and 10 attempts last night. Yeah. That's not the problem. Maybe better shots is what you meant to say, not more shots. The goals are going to come. He's still shooting a ton.
Point per game player.
He is a point per game player, and he's a -1 right now. And it took him being a -3 last night to be a -1.
Right.
So the overall game is improving. He's not on the ice for as many goals as he was last season. And yes, keep shooting. If he's not shooting, like if he has 1 goal this season because he only has 7 shots on goal in 7 games, then you're kind of like, what's going on here?
Right.
But he's got 25 shots in 7 games. So that's almost 4 games, essentially. Yeah. So they'll go in. He's not going to shoot 4% all season long.
Yeah, and I think, and Philip says it in the chat, he needs to stop forcing the toe drag. I think he is getting that message a little bit. He sort of did say that a little bit, like getting the shot off faster, getting the shot off cleaner. But just think back to the games this year. How many times where his shots have just hit the goalie, or the goalie saves it here and then it just drops in front of him. He's just not getting a ton of luck right now.
And then we're also talking about a 19-year-old who still has not played an entire season's worth of games.
Yeah.
Of course, he's going to need some time to make adjustments and figure out. He's still learning how to play the NHL game. Yes, he was here all last season, but you still need to figure things out, and he's still in that process.
All right, we got to hit the break zone here. When we come back, we're going to get your super chats. We're also going to hear from Luke Richardson. Make sure you hit that like button for us. We'll be back in a moment on CHGO Blackhawks. But I want to tell you about my new favorite shirt, Rowback, my Rowback hoodie, stretchy. I'm wearing it too much. People have commented,
Starting to wear
you
out,
really
or-
like that shirt. I'm like, damn it. I'm already at the point where it's become my favorite. It's hanging in my car. It's there for all times. It is my absolute favorite go-to piece of clothing. So I need to get some more. And you all know by now that we wear Rowback all the time. It's quite simple. Best fit, best feel. The quality of the gear just speaks for itself. Their performance polos perform better in the heat than any other polos and are moisture wicking so the polo doesn't stick to you, and they have a nice stretch, which I need. Their everyday shorts are also perfect for the combo for a day on the move. They look clean, but use the comfort of an elastic waistband. Also needed.
I like that.
With fall here, what better item to prepare for the season than adding one of their performance hoodies to your closet? That's what I'm talking about. They're the softest items we own. We can't take them off, even now in the warm fall days. I don't care. I want to wear it every day. They look great. They fit great. They are high quality. They're built for comfort and activity. They're breathable. That checks all the boxes for me. So do us a favor. Use the code CHGO Hawks20 at rollback.com for a generous 20% off your first order. That's spelled RHOBACK.com with the code CHGO Hawks20 for 20% off all polos, hoodies, and shorts. Make sure to check them out, and they will have you ready for whatever travels or activities you have in store. Again, that's code CHGO Hawks20 at rollback.com.
Those performance hoodies, perfect for the fall golfing weather.
100%.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
When it
there.
actually becomes fall.
Yeah, I think it's here.
It's
Maybe?
officially here, but it's not here.
Know. Leaves
A lot
are
of
falling.
balls outside.
Well, when the temperature does decrease, it means the heat in your home may have to increase. And ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient. Did you know that, Jay?
I was not aware of that.
I knew that.
Yeah. The energy efficiency program can help find up to 35% in energy savings.
That's a lot.
It is.
So what should business do?
Well, businesses should just sign up for a free facility assessment at comed.com/biz.
So if it's that simple, Mario, why aren't more businesses doing it?
I don't know. Maybe they forgot the website.
Maybe. It's comed.com/biz. Comed.com/biz. Comed.com.
That should do it, Jay.
Okay.
Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customers' energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law.
Comed.com/biz.
No, we've broken him.
Go there. Do that. All that stuff. All right, let's hit up the I think we have one super chat so far.
What a unique and organic conversation that was.
Feel free to throw some more in there. We'll get to them. This from BJD. He says, I know players are responsible for on-ice play, but how much of preparation is being coached other teams' tendencies and what to expect from puck drop? No, they don't do that at all.
Wait, what?
They just show up and say, what team is it today?
No.
Vancouver? Yes, of course. I mean, they're
Yeah,
crunching video. They're
do-
breaking
they
it
do-
down.
Yeah, they do.
Practice
They do
Practice
video
is not
sessions
just
before, yeah.
what is on the ice for an hour. Like, it's video sessions. It's individual stuff. Like stuff that you hear about, like with football. Hockey does it too, but
Yes.
it's just not as, they don't talk about the film room. It's not like romanticized, I guess is the word I'm looking for in hockey.
It's not as intricate. Like football has so many different moving parts,
And
in
you get
every play.
you get a week of prepreparation
Right.
for one game.
Right.
These guys might get. I mean, you have some games that are back to back. You might just watch film
And football is
6 hours before you play the game.
is scripted plays, and every play has different things. But you could talk your way. Like every play is a scripted play, whereas hockey, you have not
It's pinball. I say it all the time.
It's a little more. Like guys will tell you that. Like when you ask NHL guys that just got called up from the AHL, like, oh, what's the biggest thing? Are you nervous? He goes, it's still hockey. It's still the same. Like,
right.
Sure, you definitely want to know, like, okay, this guy likes to shoot from the high slot. This guy's got a wicked one-timer for. Be aware, there are scouting reports,
right.
just like in any sport. But it's not as in depth, and it's not as used as much as like a football. Like, you don't really like. I would compare it a little bit more to probably baseball for a bit, because there's really not like there's a lot of like analytical numbers you can learn that, like, hey, this guy can't hit an 0-2 slider, so maybe throw that pitch.
Or weak glove hand.
Where
exactly.
it's like this guy on the power play, make sure you got him covered here, or this goalie likes to go down a little early, so maybe try and shoot for the bar, stuff like that. There's a lot of that out there,
and they break out this way. This is how they line up for the power play.
But again, once the puck is dropped, you can have all this discussion in the world about tendencies, and then it's just absolute chaos. And then
you got to go out and play and execute.
And we'll hear from Luke, and he's asked about, how do you coach when you have bad starts? And he had an interesting answer, like saying, well, pretty much said, I didn't tell him to have 2 turnovers in the first shift.
Right, yeah.
That wasn't part of the game plan. So you've got to then be able to say, okay, let's stop doing that and get back to what we need to do.
I also had a nice long conversation about the slow starts today with Connor Murphy. I'm going to write it on for Blackhawks Beat, which will be out tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for that if you are a diehard. $5 from Gravely says, year number 3 of a total teardown, a ton of high draft picks marinating. Not close yet, nor supposed to be. Long game, folks. And Daniel Franzak says, just join the CHGO Diehards.
Welcome aboard. Woo!
Thank
All
you,
right,
Daniel.
He just joined the Diehards and gave somebody a chop, apparently.
And then fell down randomly. All right, let's hear from Luke Richardson before we got to hit the break zone again. Lots of good stuff here. Make sure you pay attention. Here is head coach Luke Richardson. If you can't hear the question, the first response is an injury update on Alec Martinez, which is not much of an update.
Spoiler alert.
I haven't heard any update, but that was the plan, was today for him to just go on his own. And usually with that, lower body injuries, they're just going to see how it reacts tomorrow. So that's all I got on that one.
What was the emphasis on practice today?
Obviously we had trouble handling their speed in the D zone, a lot of switches. Whether it was 5-on-5 or the PK. So we just wanted to, really go over the D zone responsibilities and neutral zone responsibilities, just to make it easier to break out, because our neutral zone plan is to kind of clog it up on one side and have 2 forwards, or at least one closer to the D, to keep the D on their own sides to help break out easier. And when we did do it, it led to offensive forechecks, 2 goals off of that, some good chances. When we didn't do it, which was too many times, was too much D-zone time, usually results in a penalty or a really good scoring chance or a goal.
There's been a few poor starts this year. How do you coach that? How do you coach them to show up on time?
Yeah, I think this game wasn't like the last 2 games. It was like we were feeling out the game. This one, obviously, we had 2 quick turnovers on the first shift, which can't happen. You kind of entrust those guys starting the game to get the game off to a good start. But it didn't seem like we had no pushback or get up and go in this period. It was a different one, but still, same result. So, you know what, we talk about it, and it's only happened really once that the whole game we didn't get on a good roll after that and give ourselves a good push. I just felt like we were chasing it the whole game, where the other 2 games we kind of climbed back in the second and pushed. This is a different scenario, but same result, so obviously can't happen. So talked a little bit about being a little bit more connected, so that's why we did work on that. I think the things that I mentioned, like our neutral zone forecheck, not kind of wedging like a reverse home plate, like a 1-2-2, getting it to one side where you know where it is, or it's a heave pass to the other side, which our weak side D will handle, because usually the guy's by himself. Usually that leads to easier breakouts, easier regroups, which always leads to offense. And we just didn't do that well last night. So that's what we discussed, and part of that is our start. Like, we got to be on our system. If we're not on our structure and our system, then there's one guy doing one thing and 4 other guys guessing. and we can't do that. We're not at that stage yet where we can go a little bit rogue with 10 high star players like Tampa Bay a few years ago or Colorado a few years ago, like those teams. We're not there obviously yet, so we have to stay 100% on structure for 60 minutes. So you can't be 60 minutes if you don't play the first minute right.
So saw you talking to Reichel after practice for a while. What were you talking
Just
about
about his last few games. I thought 2 games ago he got more results, obviously, but I still liked some of his, his offensive bursts and trying to shoot pucks more. And he's not cheating on the defensive side. He's playing hard and his stick battles. He's showing he wants to stay in there. And I said, you got to just keep doing that and inch along some offense in there when you can, and look to strike when you can. And hopefully he can get a little bit more time in the power play. We'll look to try and get him some of that too. I thought he had one good burst in. I think it was a quick regroup, and then they called it offside by a fraction. Otherwise he could have been in almost not alone, but maybe for a good opportunity. So just saying he's doing good things. We wanted just to, same as when someone is struggling or does something that's a little bit off of our structure, you try and talk to them and bring them back. You want to make sure you talk to them when they do something well as well.
Did you gain any better understanding of the Canucks offside?
I get it, but I don't know. There is some wording that we were trying to look up in the book it might be a little bit gray in how we interpret it, because a lot of it is very lawyer language in there. So that's over my head. But it's just they were definitely Andrew Smith, I think, was the guy we were talking to, the linesman, and he was great to try and communicate in a timely manner, like what they saw, and he was 100% on it. So we have to go with that. Like, if that's the rule, that the way they're instructed to call it, then we have to live by that and make sure we do a better job that it doesn't happen.
With the too many men on the ice penalty too, how do you get the guys to shake off both of those and try to refocus on the actual game?
Yeah, it's like reacting after a goal, whether you score a goal or you get scored against. I think the next shift you have to, if you want to create momentum in a game, you have to be really good. If you fall back, if you just scored and the building's buzzing or the other building is like like it's down, you can't let them come back, or you got to create your momentum even more, and it makes it very delirious for the other team. And I think that's the same with a call or a missed call or a call that you don't think is right. I think we have to shake that off, and the next shift we got to create our own momentum again and not let that affect what we're doing in the future.
Is that hard to do when you're down in a game and you're trying to get that break and you don't get it?
And it's easy for me to say because I'm standing here, or even on the bench, I get more heated than people in the stands because I'm closer to it and I'm more invested to it. But the players are the ones that are really heated, the ones that their heart's pumping and they're in game mode. It's hard to reset, but the best players do.
Bedard has had a lot of chances, especially last night, but just one goal this year. Do you sense any frustration from him, or what's your message to him?
No, I don't think he's too frustrated. I think he keeps calm. I think he gets a little frustrated at instant moments and moves on. He's got some good maturity in that area. But I think, I'd like to see him, shoot the puck a little bit more, maybe a little quicker. But he knows that, and sometimes it doesn't present itself. So, like when he starts to, you don't want him to start forcing it either. I think he's going to be a guy that's when it goes in, there's going to be a lot of them go in. And he's a point a game guy, I think, still, and a plus player. So I think there's some great strides going there for him, and he's worked. He was in a couple clips today in the video as well, working on the right side of the puck in the D zone. So those are areas that he's really improved on. And once the scoring starts clicking, and I think sometimes in the power play, people are going to key on him even more. Then sometimes that we score in the power play and he doesn't get a point. Well, in our minds, he's doing his job. They're double covering him, or one guy's leaning to him more, like kind of an Ovechkin situation. It makes the rest of the power play better. So that's somewhere where I think he understands that as well.
There you have it, Luke Richardson. Here are the lines, by the way, at today's practice. Noteworthy, Taylor Hall got a maintenance day, so take these lines with a grain of salt. Well, at least the second line, I guess I'd say. So your top line, Bedard, Foligno, Teravainen, no changes there. Then there was a blending combo of Reichel, Athanasiou, Bertuzzi, and Kurashev. If I'm predicting things, reading the tea leaves, I think it's going to be Kurashev, Reichel, Bertuzzi. That seems to be the way it's headed.
Where does Hall go?
Yeah, I mean, Taylor Hall's going to play. So
yeah, true.
It's probably, we'll see.
Yeah, Mikheyev, Dickinson, and Anderson, and Maroon, Donato, and Smith.
Yeah.
It's weird, though, that they're mixing up those 4 on the line that Taylor Hall's got to play on, probably. Well, everything else remains. I mean, I know Anderson, Smith, Donato.
Yeah, and Reichel and Athanasiou flip-flopped some positioning in last night's game. So tomorrow, I imagine we'll get an actual look at who's going to be in, who's going to be out, because I imagine Taylor Hall will be back on the ice. Yeah, I mean, Kurashev, he sat out a game. See if he gets back in and see if he, just learned his lesson. Don't cheat the game. See if he gets back in, and if he does, if he gets right back into that second line position, or if he's moved around, I don't know. We'll have to see. But I think it seems like from what Luke said, he's liked what Reichel's done. So I wouldn't imagine he's coming out of the lineup.
No.
Athanasiou was a guy that was on that second line and got moved down in the game. Maybe he comes out of the lineup and they get both Donato and Anderson in there. We'll have to see how they do it. But it is good for what we've talked about for the last couple of days about Lukas Reichel and his development. It's good that he is trending in the right direction in the time that he's been back in the lineup.
Yeah, and Luke mentions more power play opportunities probably coming for him, so that's good. So all you Lukas Reichel fans can chill. When you chill, you know what you got to do.
Oh boy,
as we hit the break zone here, you got to choose Coors Light, because that is the perfect beverage after you choose chill, because there's a lot of reasons for it lately. Lots of chaos happening in the world. You may have noticed. What chaos? I just coined that phrase. No one's ever said that before.
Ooh. Oh, you should put that on a hoodie.
We should put that on a hoodie or a shirt or a hat or an amulet.
Ooh, big market for amulets, right?
There's a huge amulet market. We got our own amulet back there. They got a chaos amulet. All sorts of amuli going around. And if you're having trouble choosing one, choose chill instead and crack open a Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment. You know that by now. You also know that when you see those blue mountains on that bottle or that can, that your Coors Light is ready to go and it's as cold as a Rocky. So when you embrace a chill mindset, choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Oh, there it is. Sounds so refreshing. Hot damn. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door right now with Instacart. Just go to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. But remember to celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
And this particular episode of the CHGO Blackhawks podcast is sponsored by Chicago Sports Network, the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games per year across Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and will feature a full lineup of original Chicago-focused sports content. They're also Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core. And they're bringing it to every corner of Chicago across our 77 neighborhoods and beyond.
Chicago.
Kinda. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. So visit CHSN.com for more info on how you can watch the Bulls, the Hawks, and the Sox games all season long.
SN, Sports Network.
They're so Chicago, I'm told they use beef sandwich scented candles in there just to get the atmosphere up.
Posers, we use actual beef sandwiches.
That's right.
We just eat beefs.
All right, a couple comments I saw while we were reading. Deep Harris says, after listening to Luke speak, I'm left with the impression that a significant number of players aren't buying into his system or structure for whatever reasons.
I don't
know. I don't know. I think what's happening is a little bit of confirmation bias. I think there's people that are confused as to why the Hawks aren't doing well. They can't really define it, so they want to find somebody to blame. And right now, it's either Luke Richardson or Conor Bedard.
Well, one of the easiest things to do in sports is to change a coach rather than change all of your players. And their coaches are usually the ones to be the first to go when things aren't going well. Not all the time, but usually it's justified. I don't get the sense that this is on 100% on Luke Richardson. Could some things be different regarding lineups, pairing, situational things, sure. He's made some lineup moves that I personally wouldn't make, but I'm not an NHL coach. And I think that the thing that we have to remember that maybe this is on us as Blackhawks talking heads, that we might have glazed over, was the fact that, yes, this team is expected to be better. The expectations are higher because of the guys that they brought in, but the quantity of guys that they brought in, it takes time for all those guys, and most to all of them are regulars in the lineup. So it takes time for those guys to kind of all fit together. Some of these players have played together before in small sample sizes. Some guys have never played together. And yeah, it comes down to, it is still hockey, and these are, veterans for the most part, but it still takes some time to kind of figure out exactly how guys operate, where they expect to be, how they like to, flow in the game. It's good that we've seen a good example of chemistry building with a guy like Teuvo coming in and fitting really well with Conor Bedard. But it also takes some time for, a guy like DJ Brody, Pat Maroon, Craig Smith, to come in and find their spots and their footing. A guy like Tyler Bertuzzi is taking a few games, but he's starting to have some better individual performances. So I think I would like to believe that by this time, in 2 or 3 weeks' time, we've had some more games together rather than just practices, that the cohesiveness of this team is stronger, and we'll see a little bit more of that reflected on the ice. Because you look at some of these teams that don't go through a lot of changes, that have a lot of guys from the last 2, 3, 4 seasons all together, whether they're contending teams or not. Like, look at the Washington Capitals. Like, they've kind of kept a good amount of their team together for the last few years, with some smaller changes, but they've got a great group chemistry, and they're overperforming.
Well, they got PLD that fixes everything.
Well, sure.
Which,
yeah,
I mean, to your point though, like, look at Nashville. Who everyone says, oh man, look out for them. They might win the Central. They bring in a bunch of new faces. They got their first win last night. Edmonton they bring in Arvidsson. They bring in Skinner. They lose Holloway. They lose Broberg. They have all these massive changes. They get off to a rough start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's part of it is
they don't have a
new faces learning how to play with each other. And I think when you question why isn't this guy moving to this line, and why isn't he mixing up pairs, and he's trying to get some chemistry going with these guys. He's trying to let it develop a little bit. And I think we've seen success. Like, people want Foligno off the top line. Foligno's been incredibly productive. He's done a really good job on that top line, because he brings something to that line that Teravainen and Bedard don't. And Foligno probably should have scored last night. Had a great scoring chance at Kevin Lankin and just got a cross on. I have no problem with the way Nick Foligno's been playing on the top line.
For the team leading goals.
Yeah, I mean,
it's working. But I wouldn't be mad if Foligno is put on that third line, because that's where I think he's best served. But temporarily on this top line, he's been fine. And I know, like, anytime there's a bad start, it's, a lot of people are right to go, they go right after Richardson and the coaching staff. That's kind of like a vague criticism. He's not free of criticism. Like,
of course,
like that first shift, as he said today, like, there were 2 turnovers right off the bat. We couldn't get the puck out of the zone, and it's in the back of our net. We lost coverage. Like, that's not the team not being ready to play. That's bad execution. So maybe the criticism there, my criticism for that would be, hey, maybe let's stop having Conor Bedard take opening faceoffs, because 30% of the time, or I should say 70% of the time, you're not going to have the puck to start the game. So maybe you put Jason Dickinson, who won 89% of his draws last night, let his line start games. So you start the game with the puck.
Well, and we saw that last year. Late last year, the Dickinson line was like the identity line, and they would start a lot of games just to start off with good energy.
You win the draw, you get control of the puck. Yeah, I mean, just think about every game we attend, and the Hawks win the opening faceoff. There's immediately like, all right, let's go. Like, that's your right.
You get Dickinson to win the draw. You get that line out there for checking, get a shot, get the goalie to freeze the puck, and then you put the Bedard line out there already in the zone. Granted, they have to win the faceoff.
Yeah, but Foligno's been winning faceoffs well too.
The whole, like, oh my God, bad start, that's Luke Richardson's fault. he's not getting them ready to play. To me, that's too much of a vague criticism, where the real criticism is, why was Bedard taking the opening draw if he can't win a faceoff? That is a valid criticism in my eyes.
Sure.
Maybe have Jason Dickinson's line out there to start the game, get some puck possession to start, get that flow going, get that confidence going, and then you bring in your top scorers once you've already got some momentum. But if you lose that opening draw and you're chasing the puck 20 seconds in the game, you're in trouble. And that's bad execution made off of a not a great choice.
Right. And maybe that lesson will be learned. We'll see if any adjustments are made. But again, that should not get you scored on 20 seconds into the game. But he did sort of push back on the idea of a bad start yesterday because, yes, the first shift was bad. There's no doubt about it. But, like, immediately followed up with 2 really good shifts. And then Dickinson takes a bad tripping penalty, and it's 2-0.
Right.
And then here we go again. We're chasing the lead again. And then you have 2 odd calls go against you. And they both lead the goals.
Well, and they I mean, they did battle back. They got the Donato goal, made it 2-1. Felt like there was some life there, and then the 3-1 goal happens. The offside call doesn't go your way. I mean, look, you guys talked with PD last night and listened to it on the way home, and you know, the fact that someone who's watched as much hockey as Steve, someone who has played and coached and watched as much hockey as Luke Richardson and the Blackhawks staff and their video staff and people he said he talked to last night all said, yeah, I would have challenged that call too. Like, if that call is overturned on the offsides call, as 90% of people around hockey believed it was going to be, then you get that pulled off the board. You have a little bit of like a oof. Okay, we got one in our back pocket there. Now we got some house money to play with. It's a 2-1 game. You go out and Taylor Hall scores that goal. It's 2-2. It's a brand new game. The start of the game is erased, and you start fresh from there. So it's a real deflator that they did have that comeback, the comeback effort early on. But then the 3-1 goal is upheld. You get to 3-2, and then 7 men on the ice doesn't get called. Then it's 4-2, and then you're in such a hole and playing on your heels too often that it's just too much to overcome all at once.
Yeah, if the refs make that call and blow that play dead with 7 guys on the ice, you go into that first period 3-2, and you're probably feeling pretty good because you were the better team for much of that period.
Yep.
That Hall goal kind of was like, okay, they're here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bad start to their credit. They did not fold. Like, they're
Punch it
here.
back,
and then that fourth goal is kind of which, should have been blown down, but wasn't. But again, they, at the end, you still gave up 6 total. So,
but the game feels different.
No,
of
but
course.
you
And I think the outcome.
My thing is, like, with that offside thing, we talked to Petey. He told us, like, it's the rule. It's not a good. It's the correct enforcement of a dumb rule. You were chatting with Ryan Donato and Connor Murphy.
Yeah, Murphy.
And Conor Bedard was asked, and other guys in the room, the players in the room.
Connor Bedard doesn't know the rule.
Connor Murphy doesn't know the rule.
Yeah,
and he's been in the league for 10 years.
It wasn't clear.
So if a 10-year veteran doesn't know the rule, I'm gonna go on a limb and say that's a bad rule. Maybe change the rule.
Or this, I mean, far be it from the NHL to, make things more accessible to fans, but you have to do a better job of explaining what's going on. Because was there an official explanation from the league?
They sent it out on social media.
But I don't know.
Even the official explanation was kind of like, all right, I get. I mean, you still had to look up the rule.
It's one of those. It's a technicality legal play.
I mean, to
but
me,
by all appearances, like, well, wait, but
to me, having your
zone, the puck's
having your toe on the blue line with your other skate in the air is not clearing the zone and tagging up in my eyes. To me, to tag up is you completely leave the zone and completely come back in. Like, just because I jumped in the air over the blue line.
I mean, they have the rule that if the puck is on the line, it's still in the zone. So that's
what, when I was talking to Murphy today, he talked about how Rick Nash always used to kind of back over the line with the puck. Like he knew how to do it where he would stay on side. I think it's something that is
Optical illusion.
like I said. I've been watching hockey for 30+ years. I've never seen that play,
Right.
and it's just one of those. Technically, they called it correctly, so it's just weird. I don't know if we'll ever see it again.
In typical NHL fashion, they will be reactive, and that rule will become a little more clearer when a play like that costs the team an overtime goal in Game 7 of a playoff series.
Yes,
That's when something will happen.
that sounds
Sure,
about right.
sure.
All right, we need to hit the break zone again. A couple other comments we want to get to, and then we're going to talk about Frozen Frenzy coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks.
But first, say Prost to bigger and better savings on your next vehicle, because Cartoberfest is going on right now at Ray Chevrolet. Head in today to shop their huge selection of new Chevy models at new low prices. Right now, take $3,000 up to $12,000 off MSRP on most new Chevy models, or cruise through today and find your own vehicle that you can get. 125 of their vehicles are currently priced under $20,000. As one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Visit our partner this October at their location on Route 12 in Fox Lake, or RayChevrolet.com. And if you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, then you've heard of Ray's Price Promise. They're guaranteed to make your next vehicle more affordable than ever, with no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees ever. That means the incredible prices that I'm talking about right now, you can expect to see the very same when you shop Ray Chevy in store or online. So shop Cartoberfest all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or RayChevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
Yes.
And why don't you drive your new car from Ray right down to the United Center for a Blackhawks game? They play on Friday night. Use our friends over at Game Time to get your tickets and get your butt in a seat. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes it even easier getting tickets for your favorite live events. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of different tickets. The great thing about Game Time's Picks is their curation makes it easy to save on sporting events, concerts, comedy, theater shows, everything under the sun that you want to get tickets for. Game Time and Game Time Picks can help you. What's great about Game Time is they're all in pricing. It's a feature that shows you the total that you're going to be spending up front with no surprise fees when you get to checkout. And what sets Game Time apart is their panoramic view from your seat option. So if you've never been to an arena or baseball game or theater, and you want to know what the view looks like from your seat, Game Time will be able to give you that view so you can see that you're getting the best ticket, the best seat for your eyeballs. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CHGO, and you're going to get $20 off of your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
Game time.
All right. Got another comment from Bill I wanted to get to real quick, and I'm pretty sure Bill is kidding, but just in case he's not, he says, "Careful, boys, you don't accidentally want to say anything good about Reichel, LOL," which means laughing out loud.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yeah.
Laugh on loudly.
Yep. That's what that means. We are, if someone deserves praise, we'll praise them. If they don't, we won't.
Sure.
I
think we've
pretty
been
clear.
I
pretty
think
fair. I think
collectively we want Lucas Reichel to succeed.
I would love Lucas Reichel to be good.
That would be good for
a lot
the
of things would be
Blackhawks.
better if
Lucas
for this
Reichel
team
can somehow morph into a second line center, then certain people would have to make up new nothing reports about the Blackhawks certain second line centers.
Blackhawks may be in the market for a player or two. We'll see how it plays out
over the next few
I heard
months.
the same thing.
It could be soon, but it could also be
later
down the road.
That's crazy. My source told me that the Minnesota Wild may also be looking for and the New York Islanders too.
Whoa.
Ooh.
See, I'm hearing the Calgary Flames may be interested in a player or two.
Yeah.
Either soon or potentially
It might
down the
happen
road.
in season or it might be an off-season move.
Ooh, it could be an off-season move too. Ooh, man.
Yeah, it could happen
So
closer
many
to the
possibilities.
closer to the deadline maybe, or maybe once free agency.
And if they don't get it via trade, they may try and get one on free agency.
Yeah,
Oh.
or there's always the draft to find
Holy
those
cow.
players too.
It's crazy.
Just start a publication with these hot ass rumors,
Mm-hmm.
and no one will notice that we've been saying nothing for 15 effing years.
Anyway,
Frozen Frenzy.
Frozen Frenzy. Were you
Your
frenzied?
thoughts?
It was frenzied.
I was
and
frenzied.
It was frozen.
It was very cold.
I like the idea, and I like the execution. I like that they have the Frozen Frenzy channel, but a random Tuesday in October is probably not doing the most to
Not
promote
just
the
a
game.
random Tuesday in October. The opening night of the freaking NBA.
That too.
What's that? I don't watch basketball.
Well, most hockey fans don't.
That's
but
true.
Most everybody else does.
Yes. No. Yeah. Yeah.
The NBA, the league where the 13th best player on the team can make $23 million a year because they've got huge TV contracts.
Sure. What a world. This idea is like, I like it. It's the execution of it that still needs some work. Much like starting a game on time, it comes down to the execution. The Frozen Frenzy idea, why not have that be opening night? Why not have it be on a Saturday or a Sunday where there's no college or NFL football? Make it a destination thing for hockey fans and casual fans that are, hanging out. It's I don't know, March? Is that when football season's technically over? March? How about a March Sunday? Maybe it's a first day that it's warm. You go over to a friend's house. You're on their back patio. You turn on you say, hey, let's bring the TV out here because it's nice out. Let's sit outside and watch the game. You turn it on and, oh my gosh, it's a hockey game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Crack a Coors Light and enjoy that first sunshine you've felt in months. And then you say, oh, there's another game on.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's another one on. And then next thing you know, you've spent the entire day on the patio drinking Coors Light and watching hockey. Like Frozen Frenzy. Ta-da.
Yeah.
You can't have it go up against anything else because the NHL is not going to win those matchups in television. And you have to cater it to, like, diehard NHL fans are going to watch the games no matter how hard it is to watch them or wherever they are. It's hooking in people that are casuals to say, hey, it's a Sunday afternoon, you miss sports. Here's a hockey game at 2:00.
Yeah, or pick a random holiday. Pick Indigenous Peoples Day or whatever where people are off work.
That's Canadian Thanksgiving too, though. That's
That's great. Do you think the Canadians be mad that they're playing on Thanksgiving?
Yes.
The NFL plays on Thanksgiving. People seem to like it.
Yeah.
The NBA plays on Christmas. They seem to like it. It's fine. Like I think you just have to find a day,
What day is
where
Flag
you've
Day?
got a Boxing Day where you've got a captive audience.
Yeah.
And I know, like, it's hard in season because the NFL plays all the time. College football is going all the time. But you just got to find a day and you say, hey, New York teams, you're playing at 11 a.m. Eastern to start Frozen Frenzy. And it's going to be an all-day thing.
Yeah, I think I'm not a big fan of, like, opening night. I kind of like opening night being, like, two big marquee matchups. Focus on, like, your best.
The banner.
Let
the
your
banner
Stanley
raising.
Cup champion raise their banner, have their night, and then have a later game of, like, two big, maybe a playoff series that was great last year, have them play each other. I kind of like that idea. I also kind of like the idea that Elliot Friedman put on 32 Thoughts a couple weeks ago about at the draft, the defending, before the first pick is made at the draft, the defending Stanley Cup champions get to go on stage and pick who they want to raise their banner against on opening night. I love that idea.
Everyone picks the Leafs.
But, like, I think they did it right this year with Boston and being in town for the Panthers. That's a rivalry that's picked up some steam. So, but as far as, like, the Frozen Frenzy, to me, the perfect day would be the Saturday in between the NFL Conference Championship games and the Super Bowl.
Sounds right to me.
Throw it out there.
All the bowl games are over.
Yeah, the college football is over, or the Sunday after the Super Bowl. You can't do it this year because you got the Four Nations things going on, but the Sunday after the Super Bowl, like, that's a big day. There's nothing going on. Sure, the NBA is still playing, but do something fun. I think they do it again. I don't think this is the only time they're doing it this year. They did it twice last year, didn't they?
At least twice, yeah.
So
Did it twice, yeah.
I think they're going to do it again. Hopefully they pick a better day. It's a cool idea. Personally, I would love that to happen on the last day of the season.
That'd be fun.
But do it like they do it now in baseball, and they do it in the Premier League in soccer, where the last day of the season everybody starts at the same time to prevent shenanigans.
Oh, see, that's fun.
Baseball adopted that the last couple of years, where
Yeah.
like that last Sunday everybody plays at the same time, so you can't
Turn off
you
the
know,
scoreboards.
But I would like
Dark
that, like the
matches.
last day of the regular season, everybody play at the same not at the same time, but do your Frozen Friday the
same
last day. Get people excited for the playoffs. Like, hey, did you like watching 4 hockey games back to back to back to back? Well, guess what? Starting Tuesday,
Now the good teams get to do
right?
it.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be this, but better.
Yeah.
Because it's the playoff teams. So it's a good concept. Just needs some tweaking.
Yeah, I like the idea. It just feels like every time they have a good idea, they either hammer it into the ground like outdoor games, or it's like, yeah, but you picked NBA opening night.
Right.
What about next Tuesday? Right? Like where you're not up against an event that everyone's watching Bronny and LeBron play together last night.
Friday night. Like
Yes,
I know people
yeah.
go out on Friday nights, but hey,
I don't.
Go out and watch a hockey game.
Go out and go to your local bar and
Hope they
have
an
them,
antenna.
have them find whatever game whatever. Hopefully they have the right service provider and they can get the hockey game on TV.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Yeah, so I don't know. It's very NHL, and they are at a disadvantage because of the 4 major sports. They are the least popular, but something like Frozen Frenzy theoretically would be something that could grow your sport. Much like, I think, since they've jumped on ESPN and Turner, it seems like it's got more eyes on it. It seems more popular than it was with NBC. The fact that it's on ESPN Plus has been helpful. So those are some good things. But it's just like, oh man, it's like you're right there. For every step forward, it's like 2 steps back. So I don't know. I know the NBA schedule comes out after the NHL schedule, so that's part of it. But
Yeah, but
you
they
should have
kinda-
the foresight to be in communication
kinda-
and say,
That's
hey,
public,
NBA,
Like,
we've got our eyes on, we want to do this pretty early in the season. Can we talk and make sure
No,
that this is not up,
it's-
you know?
Do you think that the United Center finds out when Bulls opening night is when the schedule comes out? No.
Yeah, you're
These
right.
schedules are made months in advance.
Yeah.
Just because
It's-
you know when the schedule is released, the NHL and the NBA teams have to talk to each other because a lot of them play in the same damn building.
right.
They know when the NBA is starting their season. Gary Bettman doesn't get the NBA release the same time everybody else
Yeah,
does.
they know well ahead of time.
Plus, there is also a thing of like, well, they've opened the second Tuesday of October for the last 20 years. Maybe that's the night they're going to
Yeah.
open. Like, it's
Well, and Evil Bill says, is there a huge NBA NHL crossover? No.
That's the
But the
problem.
reason you do something like this is not to appease the hockey fans. They're already in. You're
Right.
trying to bring more people in that maybe wouldn't be watching the NHL. You know who was not watching the NHL last night? Any NBA fan.
Yeah.
That's the point, is to grow the game, not just to have something fun. Even
yeah.
the NFL going to London is for the purpose of growing the game that needs no growth.
Sure.
But it's all to grow the game, not to just say, here's
You
a
wanna-
little cookie for the fans.
You want an opportunity to get as many eyeballs on your product as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, think about advertising. Like, you know, you don't want to advertise something that is already, you know, in someone's market and in their wheelhouse, and they probably already have purchased before on a time slot that you know that person's going to be watching. You want to get it on when, you know, you want to get it on when you can open that up to new people. So with hockey, you want to try and open it up to casual fans, or you want to hook them in more so they become more constant consumers of the NHL, or they tell their friend, like, hey, sit and watch the game with me. Oh, I've never sat and watched a full NHL game. Here, you know, here's one in the afternoon, and then, you know, you say like, oh, they're doing it on this day where everybody's playing. Like, it's to hook in people that don't have this idea that hockey is awesome. It's to try and expose them to, hey, hockey's awesome to watch. Then you get them into a game, you get them a jersey, and then boom, you've hooked them into being hockey fans. Good job, NHL.
100%. All right, we need to wrap things up. We are off tomorrow. Mario is covering practice, though, So he will have all the news for you. You should know coming up today on CHGO, we got the Sox show at 4 p.m. Our show is off tomorrow, yes.
Oh, okay.
CHGO White Sox at 4. Then you got Bulls pre at 6:30, correct? And post game after the Bulls season opener. So the NBA season in Chicago is here.
30-point Bulls win tonight. I'm predicting
that's exactly right. And one final reminder for today. We have that new deal. If you want to become a CHGO diehard like Daniel did earlier in the show, we are building the biggest and best community of CHGO sports fans, and we want you to be part of it. So much so that we're giving you this special offer with our lowest rate ever. Look at those low rates. Become a CHGO diehard today for just $4 a month, billed annually. That's right, just $48 a year gets you a free t-shirt, access to our exclusive written content, my Blackhawks beat coming tomorrow morning, plenty of discounts and access to our CHGO Discord lounge where we all hang out and talk sports. It's a limited time offer, so act now, allchgo.com/intro. And we've got some Hawks takeovers coming up this year, so if you want to watch a Hawks game with us at the UC, you will save by being a diehard. And another little thing, we got some, just got gifted some tickets to the Shoresy Hockey Classic.
Sweet.
Coming up in November. We're going to give some tickets away to our diehards for that too. Lots of reasons to join. allchgo.com/intro. All right, we'll be back on Friday for Hawks postgame against the Predators. We'll talk to you then on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.